Now for our featured story of the day. The high priest of Bitcoin, Max Keiser, suggests the U.S. debt crisis resolution via a Bitcoin standard. And also I'm going to be reiterating his newest 2.2 million Bitcoin price prediction. So let's break this baby down, and shout out to the high priest. I'm extremely excited and honored to be linking up with Max and Stacy at the Max and Stacy Invitational in less than 48 hours. I will be in El Salvador for my first time in Bitcoin country, kicking it. So looking forward to that. So let's start right here. This is a new published article. As you can see, financial analyst Max Keiser sparked a debate with his analysis of the U.S. economic situation. I guess we'll start here with the actual tweet, which was in response to a tweet where someone wrote, "The 1920s saw the greatest stock rally ever, followed by the worst crash in history. Today's market is following a similar footpath." And Max shared, "Trump's agenda is radical transparency, and this means revealing that the U.S. is more than $60 trillion in debt. Flipping to a Bitcoin standard is imperative, but getting there from here means defaulting on U.S. treasuries. In my opinion, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts." And shout out Hillbilly Will. 60 trillion, it's well over 150 trillion with the unfunded liabilities. So most likely the debt is a lot higher than we even anticipate as the bottom line. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on that. And I want to get to the 2.2 million prediction. As you know, Max has been calling for 220,000 in play for years. And more recently, he 10x'd his prediction. And so let's break this one down for you. Max, as you know from the Keiser report, one of the first to publicly start talking about and promoting Bitcoin back when it was like 25 cents alongside Stacy Herbert. He believes Bitcoin is likely to soar to as high as 2.2 million in the long term, and long term for Bitcoin is within 1 to 2 years, just FYI, which would ultimately mean this particular cycle. When people say short term in crypto, I like to believe short term, maybe 1 to 3 months, maybe even as much as 1 to 6 months in my opinion, but let me know how you guys translate that. So yeah, I mean, you already know El Salvador is the first country to make Bitcoin a legal tender. This was back in 2021, a year after Michael Saylor's MicroStrategy was the first publicly traded company to put the Bitcoin on the balance sheet. Max commented on a tweet from El Salvador's commitment to continue buying and utilizing Bitcoin in its economy. As you know, they're purchasing, or they have been purchasing, at least 1 Bitcoin per day, and some days now they're purchasing as much as 11, Bitcoins per day. Their tweet that Max shared says the UAE, which is the United Arab Emirates, supposedly holds 40 billion worth of Bitcoin, even though there has been no official confirmation. This is something he has been talking about, which I have been covering right here on the pod for a very long time. We've been talking about the sovereign wealth funds, potentially, Qatar. We've been talking about the UAE. There was recently an event there in Abu Dhabi. We had Trump's son, Eric Trump, talking about speculation of all the bullishness his father is going to be ushering in when he gets inaugurated here in a couple of weeks. So a lot of bullishness across the boards. Now, all or many major countries start the bidding. It's presuming Keiser expects the price of Bitcoin to skyrocket over the coming 12 to 24 months if countries around the world begin accumulating Bitcoin actively, which we're all pretty confident they're doing, just more so behind the scenes. He then thanked Max Keiser for the pleasure of following him, I guess referring to this gentleman here. So yeah, Max Keiser responded to this tweet. This guy wrote, El Salvador is obviously committed in pursuing this path, but most other countries have not. The UAE supposedly has 40 billion of Bitcoin, but I haven't seen official confirmation. If all or many major countries start bidding, what would you expect this to do to the price of Bitcoin? And Max responded, ultimately retweeting, writing 2.2 million per coin. That's if the global hash wars goes into play, as many have been predicting, including Max, who coined the term himself. So let me know your thoughts. Max responded in that case, 2.2 million per biddy, which is 10x his previous prediction of $220,000. And then, of course, Trump adopting the Bitcoin strategic reserve would be extremely bullish, as many other nations would most likely follow in his footsteps. But the million-dollar question becomes, will Trump follow through with those plans? And I actually will show you, or actually play a little clip of Trump when he spoke at the Nashville Bitcoin conference before he was reelected via, the November 5th election. And here's what Trump had to say when he was on stage to Bitcoiners across the world at the largest Bitcoin conference.
This afternoon, I'm laying out my plan to ensure that the United States will be the crypto capital of the planet and the Bitcoin superpower of the world, and we'll get it done.
Bitcoin superpower of the world for the United States, fam. He says we'll get her done.
If crypto is going to define the future, I want to be mined, minted, and made in the USA. It's going to be. It's not going to be made anywhere else. And if Bitcoin is going to the moon,
it's going to the moon, he says.
As we say, it's going to the moon.
I like the cadence in his voice when he says it. It's like, that's going to the moon.
America to be the nation that leads the way, and that's what's going to happen. I pledge to.
Obviously, the United States of America does lead a lot of the world, so that's what he's talking about there.
To the Bitcoin community, that the day I take the oath of office, Joe Biden and Kamala
Harris's war on crypto is over.
Harris's anti-crypto crusade will be over. It will end. It'll be done. It'll be done.
Finito, that is.
On day one, I will fire Gary Gensler and appoint a new...
Gary, if you're still lurking, go home and get your shine box, Gary.
SEC chairman.
Nippinator's coming for you, Gary. But anyways, let me know your thoughts with some of those predictions, including the latest from Max Keiser. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Do you think the Trumpster will actually adopt a strategic Bitcoin reserve for the United States of America? Do you think that bill will pass and get signed into action, what Cynthia Lummis has proposed, which is ultimately to purchase 1 million Bitcoin over the course of the next 5 years, which would ultimately mean the United States of America not only stockpiling the Bitcoin as Trump promised, but also purchasing 200+ thousand Bitcoin per year over the course of the next 5 years. And Kennedy, RFK Jr., also gave a very advantageous Bitcoin speech at that event, him proposing 4 million Bitcoin being purchased by the United States. Let me know your thoughts.